EdTech entrepreneur and CEO and co-founder of Isoma Solutions, which is a Kenyan-based enterprise dedicated to improving foundational literacy and numeracy across sub-Saharan Africa. So, with his background in analytical chemistry with management, Julius brings a strong foundation in quality assurance and a deep commitment to leveraging technology for social impact. Fun fact, he is a Yali RLC East Africa alumnus and a MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellow. He's also widely recognized for his strategic, inclusive approach to scalable learning interventions and also is a high school board member and a youth mentor, drawing inspiration from his own journey of overcoming adversity through education. So, thank you so much, Julius, for joining us for today's topic on grant writing. And I'm very sure we are going to learn quite a bit from you with your background.
Yes, thank you, Toela.
And also, just before we start the session, this is week 2. And as always, please, if you have any opinions you'd love to share or question, there's a raise your hand icon on the Zoom meeting, as well as you can leave a message on the chat group. So, otherwise, that is all for now. Julius, would you please start your presentation?
All right, thank you very much, Toela and Dovi. Maybe I would put on my video for a minute so that people can put a face to the voice that will be behind the mic for the next about an hour. And I hope that we're going to have a very good time together as we discuss the topic of grant writing. It's an area that I would say I'm passionate about. I like. But before we get into the topic, thank you. That kind of introduction, Toela, doesn't come always. I felt like you are talking about somebody else, but then I remembered the face is mine and the bio is mine. So thank you very much. And thank you, Anesu, for inviting me to have this conversation with this great team. They are the creatives. I would love to be a little bit funny, but it is not going to hit with them because they are majorly the creative lot. Before we start, I want us to have a quick icebreaker together. And for the fact that you people are creative, you are photographers, you know this thing very well. You know your area very well. Maybe 3 people to volunteer, raise your hand. You tell us one moment that you would love to capture with your camera, with your equipment, before you leave this world. Just one moment you would love to capture. And then for those who will not be raising their hand, you can put it in the chat and we can continue. Yes, 3 volunteers, just one moment you would love to capture before you leave this world. And if we don't have volunteers, I'll just go to the list and I'll call out a couple of people, especially if you know I can pronounce the name very well. Oh, Edith wants to capture the moment of a child being born. That is interesting. Napo hasn't thought about that yet. Somebody else? Napo says that one is tough. I think it's something you should start thinking about. Somebody else? Before we run out of time? Born to Nathan? Namuholo would love to capture a large celebration, probably a parade. Gift would love to capture kids playing in the mud or in the rain. Mainga would love to shoot at the moment an artist strikes gold in the studio. Interesting things, beautiful things. There is somebody I'm able to read their name in the list called Wamboi. Wamboi, what would you love to capture? Wamboi, what would you love to capture? All right. Let's post that one there. We'll come back to it. Thanks to those who have told us what they would love to capture. I've seen a spirit of an ancestor, that is Dua. Waboi is with Napo. They are not very sure if they have figured that out yet. And Tinashe would love to capture candid moments in weddings. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things here. So today we're going to cover the topic on grant writing. Let me just get my video off so that we are able to have good bandwidth, all of us. We're going to cover the topic of grant writing, and I want this to be participatory. I want us to speak to it. I want us to go through it together. I want you to speak to me. As I speak to you, we figure out this thing together. And as photographers and as creatives, one of the most difficult things that I know you all experience is commercializing your art, trying to make money out of what you know best, out of what you do best. And congratulations that you're in this creative business studio program by Unpublished Africa. It is an amazing opportunity for you to start figuring out, how do I make business out of something that I love, out of something that I'm so passionate about. So the first question we would ask ourselves is, why do grants matter for a creative? I'm just there, I'm taking good pictures. I love it when I go back to my gallery and they are good pictures. And there are different ways that grants would come through for you. They would help you in improving your art. And number one is funding your ideas and exhibitions. You've mentioned so many things that you would want to do. Probably that person who wants to capture great moments in a wedding, I think that was, I forgot the name, sorry, would want to do it using a drone, but they don't have that kind of gear or facility. You will probably need a grant to be able to purchase that or to acquire that. Further, these things open doors to networks and recognition, even for you to get that kind of wedding or that kind of event that you want to be part of, to capture the moments in that kind of an event. You will need somebody probably to refer you, somebody to say, I know a good photographer, I know somebody who can do a very good job for us. So that kind of network and recognition that comes with being in grant circles is very important. There are different kinds of grants that you are likely to get to utilize, such as photojournalism grants, exhibitions and residencies. If probably this accelerator was happening physically, we would probably call it a residency. Let's still say it's a residency because you have 6 weeks to go through an intense program to get you over the line in this area. And as we also go through the different types of creative grants, I know you've interacted with as many as possible. There is every opportunity that for you to even know that Unpublished Africa is running a program is because you have exposed yourself to understanding the many different types of programs and grants that are run in this photography space. As we get into these types of grants, I want us to recap on a story. About Kelvin Carter. How many of you know Kelvin Carter? One who won the Pulitzer Prize in 1994 for photography, for feature photography. Anybody with the memory of that gentleman? I want you people to remain engaged in this conversation. In the chat, I can see Tinashe, yes, knows Kevin Carter. Muchanga Bambang Club. Who else have an idea of Kevin Carter? Kevin Carter was a winner of the Pulitzer Prize in 1994 for feature photography, and such kind of prize is the kind of grants that people are getting in the space. And how he won the prize is because of the vulture and the little girl picture that he had captured a year earlier. And I know we've followed on this story and know what happens to that gentleman, because photography is not just that picture you capture, but the story that it tells. And to hold that story goes. I can also say Namokolo says they know that picture, but did not know the name of the winner. It was Kelvin Carter. So when you are capturing these moments, when you are at that wedding, when you are at that presidential inauguration, when you are at that UN assembly, when you are capturing the first probably Boeing landing at an airport for an airline that has just been founded, you are not just taking a picture. You are recording history. You are recording moments that tell a big story. So as Kevin captured that moment, it was an award-winning moment, but it didn't go as probably he would have loved. So there are different types of creative grants that you are exposed to, and some of them are project grants, some of them are travel exposure grants, fellowships and residencies, equipment grants, and I would want us to review them and what they mean to you and how you can approach each of them. As we go through the presentation, we will understand more why they are different and why it is important for us to take them differently. Like project grants, I know you've probably heard about the Memorial that awards long-term documentaries. You've probably heard about others that cover social justice, history, and the like, such as the Alexia Foundation. All these grants are tailored to to achieve different goals. So you as a photographer, you as somebody who is in the creative industry, must be able to have a very specific line that I'm chasing this kind of goal. I want to achieve this kind of goal. I want to record documentaries around this area. Maybe it is the environment. Maybe it's a documentary around geographies, around animals, around anything. So social injustices, around politics. There is an element that interests you and impresses you, and it's probably the one that you would love to look into. So even when you are going into applying for a grant, you must look at, is this grant aligned to what I do? Is there anything in what I do also that aligns to this kind of grant? That is why we say that it's always very important to check eligibility and focus area. I'll give you probably a personal example. I've applied for grants before, based for the fact that I'm in the impact space of education. There'll be different grants from time to time that are floated, but more often than not, you will see that there is a very narrow area that a grant is supposed to cover. For instance, my area is foundational literacy and numeracy. I'll go and find a grant. It is in the education space, but they are talking about they want solutions or they want products that are looking at an area like skills development. Essentially, if I try to fit my foundational learning into that, it may not fit. So that kind of alignment is important as you go for a grant, so that you don't put all the work, you don't put all the effort, and eventually it is not as rewarding as you would love it to be. This is the same case of understanding the grant application process. There is a process that you went through before you were enlisted into Creative Business Studio, and this process is unique mostly to every organization. You will find an organization that wants to operate with forms. You'll probably fill out a Google form and then you submit. You'll probably fill a form on Airtable, a form on Submittable, and submit. You'll find another organization that is looking for an in-depth proposal, a proposal that covers different areas. They'll probably give you a template and tell you, we want you to tell us about the introduction of why you are doing this. We want to see the kind of work that you've already done. We want to see the kind of impact that your work already has had. So when you are looking for a grant and looking to apply for a grant, you need to understand the grant application process. They are different for every organization. One of the ways to plug yourself in and be able to be streamlined and be very specific when you are going for the full application is participating in information sessions. When you're in that info session, you are able to ask questions. You are able to get clarity on what you need to do. because grant proposals are very competitive, extremely competitive. You will be going for a grant where they only want to recruit three people. They will give three grantees, and they receive like 1,000, 2,000 applications. For you to stand out, then the most basic level or the most important thing is, did you check the eligibility? Did you follow? Did you follow the process that they had indicated in the right way? Did you maintain concise communication? So the grant application process, if you don't understand it very well for every specific organization, because it will be different. When Photo Evidence Book Awards float their thing, or when Pulitzer Prize float their thing, or when Getty Image Grants float the application, you look at them and you will feel there are subtle differences that need to be considered. So we internalize that process, you understand it. If you don't get really a full scale of how the process is going, and then it's only important you consult from other people, maybe somebody who has gone through the process and won the award, somebody who is in the organization and is part of the support team, so that you understand the process and you are not out of your way when making your application. Uh, One of the questions that somebody applying for a grant asks themselves is, what will make my application stand out? What will make me get considered over every other person? And number one, as we've mentioned, is clarity and have a compelling idea. So if you're applying for a grant in social injustice, or people who are focused on social injustice, how clearly do you put it across? How clear are you on how your work is working to either lower social injustice, who are oppressed by the injustices happening? That idea must come out clearly and very compellingly. If you've been doing your work, you've been doing your photography, and you feel like, I've been doing such a good job, I want to apply for these social injustice related grant. And then when you go there, the only thing that is coming out is that you take clear pictures. The only thing that is coming out is that you store the pictures very well. And the only thing that is coming out is that you are committed to continuing taking pictures. Then it doesn't come out clearly on how you are solving for the challenge. But take, for instance, I will use a Kenyan example. I know majority of us are aware of the situation that has been there in Kenya around demonstrations and clamor for better governance by our Gen Z youth. And a documentary was produced by the BBC on what happened in 2024, on a day that the young men and women went into parliament. So the people who took these photographs and shared them with such kind of a documentary team, that kind of a production team that was developing the documentary, they would have a compelling case that the work I have done has been used to be able to identify perpetrators of police brutality and such. So that, if that comes out clearly, you stand a better chance than somebody who is just communicating about the clarity of their pictures or something like that. So that clarity is very important. Tangible impact, like we have mentioned, about somebody who would be speaking to how the images have been used to identify perpetrators of violence. If we go back to the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography that was won by Kelvin Carter, he died a few months after winning the prize. Reason being, the outrage that came out of the picture, or out of the publication that he took that picture, did not assist that girl who was just about to be mauled by a vulture that was waiting for her death. He could not start because the impact was negative. There was impact, yes, but it was negative. It created awareness, yes, but what impact did he himself create with that picture? It bounced back on him because it was not a positive impact. So try to relate your work to the impact we are creating. I'll give us one example of, for me, in the education space. If I'm just speaking of how I've made a good product, how we've built a great platform, a flashy platform for learners to use, for learners to continue with their foundational learning. And I'm not speaking to out of the 100% of the learners who joined our platform, how many were able to improve from point A to point B? How many stagnated? How many declined? How can we relate that our platform is the reason why these learners have moved from point A to B? So every donor will be looking for that clarity of the kind of impact that you are creating. Another thing is strong visuals. I mean, with the photographers and people in the creative space, strong visuals may not be a challenge because that is exactly what you do on a daily basis. Pick out your best images, say what they speak to, say what kind of impact they have brought in the society, and then it creates a better, a stronger case for you to be considered for the grant. Another thing is alignment with the funders' goals. Alignment with the funders' goals. Different funders will be looking for different outcomes. Different funders will be looking to fund different areas. For instance, if you look at something like Ian Paris Scholarship, they want to give people travel and exposure and make sure that you are collecting a lot of photographic data from different areas and putting together a story. If you look at another one like we had mentioned on Photo Evidence Book Award, they are looking at publication of a photo book that highlights human rights issues. So if you're applying to these two grants, then you must check the different angles. You must align to what photo evidence are looking for, or you must align to what Ian Paris Scholarship is looking for. They're looking for different things, but your work addresses those things. The same application you did for photo evidence and give you an award may not necessarily give you an award when you go to Ian Parry. And I want probably to make a post there and invite questions for anybody who may have a question up to that point so that we are able to progress. Maybe Anesu or Tawela, you can help moderate the questions if there are any.
So the question that actually, so far there's no questions. Just people are stating opinions.
All
So you
right.
can still carry on, but also just reminding everyone that if you do have a question, please send it to the group or um, tap the raise your hand icon on the Zoom, and one of us will see it and give you the floor.
All right. Thank you. I see there is a question by Edith that has just popped up in the chat where she's asking, should we design fund application according to different funders? And this is an absolute yes, Edith, because different funders will always have different goals that they want to achieve. And as a photographer, as a creative, as the person who is making this application, your work speaks to different domains. Today, you took photographs around the ocean and there was a lot of pollution, and you have gone back there and you have collected all that. It speaks to sustainable development goals. Another day, you have taken photography around the streets where young people are demonstrating and asking for better governance. You are addressing a different domain. So when you look at an application, when you look at an opportunity that is presented to you, you should be able to align to that opportunity. If the opportunity speaks to human rights issues, then the clarity of the images taken at a wedding may not speak to this domain. So you should align your application to what the funders' goal are. But there is one area I will want maybe to caution all of us. When we are developing or growing our organizations, there is always the why, the what, the how, and the when or the where. One of the areas that you should never be changing or shifting around is the why, because the why is what defines you. The how can change, the when can change, the where can change, the what can change, but the why should always remain as consistent as possible. And that is what keeps on defining your organization, growing your organization. It is what keeps on improving your value proposition, because you have developed a new approach to achieving your why. So I hope that is clear, Edith. So maybe I can see there is another question that has come up. And is that a hand from you, Aneso?
No, that was very well answered. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see another question from Namokolo. What in my experiences from my background helped you create good applications for brands? Thank you, Namokolo. I would say it's a mix of things. And as we have mentioned here, these four things are things that I have implemented practically. Another thing is keeping myself very open-minded about what are the possibilities, what is the funder looking for, and what area or what domain in what I'm doing fits to what the funder is looking at. Aligning your application to the funder's goals should not mean that you've moved from your why. It should always remain within the why. It's just looking at that call for proposal, that request for proposals, and understanding in this what they have asked for, what in my work aligns to that. So it gives you a better opportunity when you are aligned than when you are just speaking about the good work that you believe is so good on your own. So maybe that is how I respond to you, Namokolo. So we can go to the next slide in a moment. So when you're writing your proposals, there are just some things that you should observe to make sure that it stands out for the donor. And at the beginning, when you put in your name and the name of your project and the name of your idea, the first thing that you should understand is that the donor doesn't know what you are doing. They don't know why you are doing it or even how you are doing it. So the best way to communicate with the donor is keep your language simple and powerful. Do not be too simplistic again, but keep it simple and powerful. I'll probably try to give a very lay example. Like if I sell spoons and I want to speak to another person about what I do, if I just go straight and say I sell spoons, yes, that person will capture what I do, but they will not get the why. But I can still go to that person and say, there is something that I carry with me that I take to people, something that you can use with your children at home when you're feeding them, something that has been used in the past to give medicine. It's something that you can also put in water to quicken the boiling point. That person gets curious on what do I want to speak about. But so you must tell your story to the other person in a way that captures their attention. And number two is simple, such that they will understand. I know when we are experts in the domains that we are in, we tend to use a lot of technical language. For instance, I'm an expert in the area of foundational learning, and I might go into an application and I'm telling the donor, when we are developing our platform, we look into learning science and we make sure that the cognitive development of these children is covered. We make sure that they are not overloaded, they don't experience cognitive overload. We eliminate all things that do not align to universal design of learning. Then I'm becoming a little bit too technical. I'm telling a story to somebody who is foreign to what I do, but then I want them to understand it in my own technical state. So it is always good to keep it simple but powerful. Communicate simply but powerfully, and tell your story. We mentioned things of what, why, who, and how. What are you doing? I'm doing photography. Why are you doing photography? Because I want to capture moments where people are getting oppressed by probably through police brutality, and use this as evidence for advocacy. And who are you doing it for? I'm doing it for the youth of Botswana. And how are you doing it? When you are able to capture those 4 elements in 2-3 sentences, then you are able to tell your story with a lot of clarity, especially when they ask you, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? You say what the problem is, for whom you are solving, how you are solving it, and why you are solving it. I would probably want us to practice around that as part of our QA when we are coming. We will be coming to the end of this presentation. So in the meantime, be thinking about your what, your who, your why, your who, and how you are doing it. So you should also include measurable incomes. Let's give an example in my domain of education. If I'm applying for donor funding, I should not just be very abstract, telling them that I want to help children improve in foundational learning. I should probably be clearer, telling them that we have 89% non-proficiency level in foundational learning in the continent. For the children who will join our platform, I want them to improve. I want at least 70% of them to improve by 15% from the moment they join our platform to the time they are 12 months using the platform. That way, there is something you can measure, that you pick the child who was at 10%, and by the end of 12 months, you want them to be at 25%. So at the end of the program, you will be able to take a measure that it was 10%, it has only grown to 12%. Where was the challenge? How can we improve? So make sure that your outcomes are measurable when you are doing that proposal. We have spoken about customizing each application. The application that worked for you to get enlisted by Unpublished Africa may not work for you when you are applying for the Pulitzer Prize Award, or for the Inge Morath Award, or for the Blue Arts grant. You must customize your application based on the person, on the organization that is funding and the goals they are seeking to achieve. That customization is very important. So the next one is you will always have a budget when you are applying for a grant. Most of these grant funders will give you a template. But one of the things that I've noticed and seen over time is that your budget should be tied to the goals and the milestones you want to achieve with the project. For instance, say you want to do a documentary around a certain topic or around a certain phenomenon. If you want to do that documentary, you should be able to cost that documentary. Probably there'll be transport involved, there'll be gear to be purchased that is involved, there'll probably be printing of some materials. You will probably need venues to shoot some interviews. You will probably need to buy some equipment. You should be able to capture all those elements in the budget. And when we talk about the structure of income and expenses when you are applying for a grant, the income is the grant that you are applying for. The expenses is how you are going to spend that grant. Make sure that whatever you are spending for on the grant is tied 100% to what you want to achieve with the project. One of the challenges that you might experience, especially when it comes to outlining the expenses, you'll find that organizations have different policies on how their grants are used. And one of the policies is around non-allowable expenditure. You will find that an organization has floated a grant. They are giving out $100,000, but they have made it clear you cannot buy cameras using our money, or you cannot pay employees using our money, or you cannot hire a car when there is the option of using public transport. So those are non-allowable expenses. You must make sure that they don't appear anywhere in your budget. Again, be realistic and transparent. Realistic here means that if you are taking a documentary and you will have to take a flight, say from Zambia to South Africa, and you are telling them that the flight cost will be $1 million, will be $10,000, then that will be unrealistic. They'll go back and check and see that flights from Zambia to South Africa are probably around $700 to $1,100, and you've quoted 10,000. So you must remain realistic and transparent. You got there, you want to buy cameras. You are telling them that the camera you want to buy costs $10,000 again, but when they go back to quotations and pricing in the market, it is going for like $2,000. Then you will be creating some sort of mistrust between you and the donor organization. So being realistic, being transparent is very important when you are creating your budget for these grants. Another thing that organizations giving grants look at is how much are you using on administrative costs? And you will see, I know probably NESO has come across this, that you cannot use more than 10% of the grant you find or the grant you receive on administrative overheads. So such kind of things are important to consider. You can, if you're not very sure about what are the allowable and non-allowable expenses when you're doing your budget, you can always reach out to that organization, get a better understanding, and they'll most of the times be very, very generous with such kind of information, so that your application stands out, it is realistic and looks transparent, and then they are better convinced that your idea should be funded. So the other one is the common mistakes to avoid. I know most of us will make these mistakes, like missing deadlines. You checked the deadline was on 16th of July, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, or say Central African time. But in your mind, it was GMT. So you come wanting to submit past the deadline. The system probably allows you to submit, but then they don't consider your application because it came in a few hours or days late. So make sure that you are very clear on the deadline. You apply well ahead of a deadline. 2 days, 3 days, a week before deadline is always advisable, so that you're very sure that you are not missing the deadlines. Ignoring guidelines, make sure that you follow the guidelines. They are the ones that will help you tailor your application to every specific funder. You might feel that I submitted an extremely good application to Ian Paris Scholarship. I'm going to use the very, very same one to apply to, say, Lightwork artist residence. And there is something they are looking for that is extremely linear to their goals. So you miss it out because you duplicated an application that you brought in from elsewhere. You do not follow the guidelines of the current donor. So make sure that you are clear on that. You should also not be vague or too technical. We have mentioned that before. You should never skip proofreading your work. I know we are always so confident with what we've put down. We don't want to proofread, and we make some very funny mistakes that even distort the meaning of what we wanted to communicate. So to avoid all that, have enough time, read through your application, get to understand it much better, and you are in a better position to get the grant. Poor alignment with funder goals, same thing we've covered with ignoring guidelines, and we've mentioned it there before. You should be able to align with funder goals. Every funder has different goals. That is one thing I've picked all through. There might, like in the space I'm doing foundational learning and foundational literacy and numeracy, you will find that one funder wants to just focus on offline capabilities and reach out children in remote areas. Another one will want to reach children wherever they are in the country. Another one will be focusing on a thing like urban poverty or urban literacy issues. So when you are designing your application, these are all your audiences, but now the funder is coming with a very specific audience. Be able to align to that which they are speaking to, and you stand a better chance of getting the fund. So we are coming closer to the end of the presentation. So the tools and resources for creatives where you can be that you can utilize as you get better, you fine tune your grant writing. Where to learn about grants that are coming. There are databases like Funds for NGOs, Creative Capital for those of us who are more into tech. Others like Tech Hubble, like TechCrunch. There will always opportunities for youth. They'll always announce when opportunities crop up. They'll create an article. They'll provide links that you can use to apply for the grants. Make sure that you are in support systems, and I cannot overemphasize on that. There is something that I've been taught more quite often in the recent years, and I have been told that you cannot be a stranger in the room twice. If you don't get anything else from this call today, get that one. That you cannot be a stranger in the room in a room twice. So it's probably the first time majority of you have met either Aneso or Towela, and even myself and Taco, but we cannot be strangers again. By the next time we meet, you should at least be able to know that person, or they should be able to know you. Why this is important is, like, I know Aneso and her team have a lot of experience in the area of creatives and photography and all that. You are probably applying for a grant, and you need somebody to bounce off your ideas through. You need somebody to mentor you through the application process. These are the circles that you need to be in. If you are a stranger to this person, they will not be compelled to really assist you go through the application. But if you have a memory of each other, then you are in a better position to get that assistance. Again, you find that in grant circles, they will make sure that somebody develops a positive bias for you. If somebody develops a positive bias for you, even when they are doing maybe a head hunting for ideas that they want to add, they are not floating out applications there. Somebody remembers your name and voices it at a table. So create those relationships, create that rapport with people in that space, and it gives you a better chance when something crops up that they can voice someone. So also familiarize yourself with different budget templates and proposals, such that when it comes to you, then you have an idea of how to go about it. You have an idea of how to tie the different segments of a proposal to speak the same language, to speak to the same outcome, and to speak to what you are working towards. So those are tools and resources that you can use. You can always reach out to people who have been there before you, consult them on how to go about things. One thing I've experienced is that when you do a proposal with different stakeholders coming on board to read through it, provide their input, it is always corrected to a level whereby you stand a better chance. You will move from stage 1 to stage 2, which is great progress. Then even if you don't advance from stage 2, you are better off prepared to apply for the next one, because you have feedback that is assisting you on where you went wrong, where you missed out, and what you can improve on. So we've come to the end of the presentation. I hope I've kept time, because we still have some minutes that we can do Q&A. And remember, we had that challenge I mentioned about a 3-sentence speech for your dream project, the why, what, how. So that is how we are going to conclude our presentation. I'll check the inbox on whether there are any questions. I can see there is a question by Siachaba on what is the main purpose of grants, particularly for photographers. Are they strictly meant to support the completion of project with no further involvement after it? Okay, just a minute. Or can the creator also earn income from the project beyond the grant itself? So that is a good question, Siachaba. And one thing is, as we've mentioned a number of times in this call, is that every funder has the goals they want to achieve with the grant. And you will find that in every grant contract that you get into, there are terms and conditions of the relationship that we'll have with the donor, either during and post the grant, and how you can use the work that you develop, because the creative business and probably what we do on the education space could have differences. But one thing about funders and donors is there is always clarity of the relationship we will have with them after the period of your project is finished. So the financial support may end at the time when the grant ends, but other sorts of support like technical or helping you improve on your skills, maybe continuous. The work you generate, most of the time, the work you generate from these projects will belong to you. You will have the intellectual property rights to it. So, but that relationship between you and the donor will always be clearly stated in the contract that you enter into. Right, maybe Anetu and Kowela can take us to the Q&A and the creative challenge.
Okay, hi. Thank you so much for the presentation. The floor is open now, everyone, for a Q&A and this really interesting creative challenge where Julius has challenged us to write a 3-sentence pitch for your dream project. And he emphasized the why, what, and how. So I think I'm going to start. Julius, can I start? Can I start us off?
Absolutely.
So let me try this out. You said why, what, and how. Okay. So
Why,
I want
what, how, and for who?
Oh, and for who? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me try this out. I want to amplify African voices by building Neurize, which is an AI-powered creative studio that uses technology, design, and storytelling to craft impactful content for African users. How's that?
That is amazing, because I've ticked the why, the what, the who. The who is African users, the what is the technology that you're developing, and the how is the technology you are developing. That is amazing. I mean, you got it so right. Brilliant students all over.
Thank you. I was listening. I was listening. If anyone else would love to try the challenge, please raise your hands and we will definitely ask you to open your mic and give us the 3-sentence pitch. So remember, it's why, what, how, and for who. And maybe you want to also put it on the group chat, which is also very much okay. But as well as if anyone has any questions for Julius, please feel free. We have about 5 minutes until we close off this session.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hi, Isaac.
I have one question, if that's possible to ask.
Yes.
So, like recently, I've been applying for a lot of residencies and also grants. So, my question is related to how the level of their you mentioned earlier they are very restricted regarding to following the guidelines, but I always wonder that how flexible are they to just sometimes break their rules on related to the guidelines, because you have always in your mind that there is a certain project you want to do, but for example, we can take a photography project. So that project fits in some ways with the guidelines, and it also is not in the scope of the guidelines. So in that aspect, can I ask the from your experience, if you can tell me how much they are compromised or they are flexible with their guidelines regarding with the themes, maybe regarding with the certain topics, maybe because I'm always not sure if my projects are completely fitted with the guidelines. And in another times, there is in your heart you want to do something, but to only win the grant, there is you have to do some things. So to compromise in between or to create a balance, how much you think they are flexible?
All right, thank you very much, Isaac. That is a very comprehensive question. If I'm to go back to my experience, I would say they are not very flexible, and this is the reason why. Um, I mentioned earlier that they would probably be floating a grant application that they want to recruit just 10 projects. And out of that call, they receive like 1,000 applications. So the first thing that they'll do is eliminate the projects that don't fit the criteria to a very high percentage. So they'll be looking at our criteria is A, B, C, D. But then we want, first of all, to eliminate all projects that don't meet at least 3 of the criteria. So it's important to be able to fit your project within the dynamics of the funders goals. And sometimes it's just about tuning the implementation aspect of your project just a little bit to cover an aspect that it was not covering, and then now it is able to align better than giving room for the funder to think that this one does not fit. So because of majorly the large volume of applications that they receive, they'll be more inclined to working on those that 100% fit the criteria, other than bending on their rules to accommodate a good project. Another thing I've experienced is that when they are doing the shortlisting and then further cutting to probably invite people for interviews and all that, sometimes they'll even introduce new rules mid-game. And the reason they are doing this is because they are looking for 10 projects. They still have 50 very good projects, and they need to eliminate another 40. So they introduce new rules to just make sure that it's stricter and they are getting the best cohort. So for you is to make sure that as much as it's wildly possible, you are fitting within the guidelines. I hope that is clear, Isaac.
Yeah, that's clear. Only one more follow-up question. So, how much this grant givers or these organizations give emphasis for the originality of the work?
All right.
Originality of the work, that means?
You will find that when they're looking at novelty of an idea or originality of your work, essentially they want to see the uniqueness of what you are offering, not just something that has been done by somebody else, you've just duplicated. It could be something that exists, something that has been done, but what new dimension have you added to it to make it better than what has been existing? It's not a must that it is 100% new, never seen. It could be something that has been happening, but now you have introduced a new dimension to it, and that is what gives it edge over the others.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's very helpful.
You're welcome, Isaac. Back to you, Anes Ntowela.
Thank you so much for this session. Unfortunately, time is up, so we do have to close off the session. But I really love the challenge that you've given us, where we have to think of 3 sentences for 3-sentence pitch for our dream project. The how, no, it's the why, how, what, and for who, right?
Yes, in whichever order you are able to arrange them. I would love to maybe add one statement around that in 30 seconds. That the reason why you should always have your 3-sentence speech is you probably go into a room, you meet somebody who is interested in the work you're doing. You are in a networking event, how do you tell them what you do and what you are trying to achieve? If you are able to say that in 30 seconds and in 3 sentences, then you are probably getting yourself in line to get some sort of funding or some sort of support that could not have come if you have to explain in 10, 20 minutes.
Yes. It's like an elevator pitch. It's like an elevator pitch.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Julius, for a very insightful presentation on grant writing for our second week of the Creative Business Studio session. Your practical tips, your personal experiences, as well as strategic approach to how you secured funding are incredibly valuable. And also, what I love about each session we have for Creative Business Studio is that it's not just in the creative space. You can also use it in your corporate life, or whether you're also going into an entrepreneurial role. So we do appreciate your time, knowledge, and passion that you shared with us. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, Julius.
You're welcome.
And just a quick reminder before we close off, everyone. Tomorrow is our final week 2 day, and this is, I don't know if I can say this, but it's a personal favorite because we are having a mixer. So this is where we're going to interact with each other, network, get some contacts, and just try and understand each other's journey in this creative space. So please do join that, because you never know what you might learn from the other person. And it is same time, same place, same link. Otherwise, this is the end of today's session where we learned about grant writing, and I hope to see everyone tomorrow for our mixer. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Fine. Good night. Have a good night.